I'm Lieutenant Colonel Presto. I'm the Executive Officer for Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. I've been in about 24 years. My original MOS is 7562. I flew CH-46 helicopters, and then I qualified on a VH-60 helicopter, VH-3D helicopter, and the UC-35 transport aircraft.
What was your main goal in high school, and did you reach it?
My main goal in high school, there was two. One was to join the military. Didn't know if I was going to go Navy or Marines yet, but come from a Navy background anyways. And then the second goal was to get into college out of high school. Being in that military town, one thing that prepared me very well was my dad was in the military, so I kind of understood some jargon and the tonnage of voice that was given when there was instruction or when there was conversation. The second one was I worked out, I trained with martial arts with a lot of military folks in Virginia Beach. So talking to them, me as a teenager, them as younger adults, kind of I understood where they were at, what their complaints were about being in the military, or what made them happy about being in the military. So it's kind of decided that that's probably one way that one course of action I could take.
What was one motivation you had while working towards becoming an officer, and did it affect other people with the same goal?
Something that kept me motivated was working out with midshipmen and officer candidates throughout college. That way I was still around a group of people that had the same goals, because obviously you're kind of isolated if you're not in that group. Everybody has different interests. They want to go corporate, they want to do federal service, they want to own their own business, but staying around a core group of people that had the same goals and PTing with them and socializing with them, that helped keep me on track.
How has your career affected your view on hard work, what it means to persevere?
Hard work and what it means to persevere. The one thing I would say about that in hard work, it's personal for you. It's something that's instilled in you. What you can't let a career do to you is judge you on by pieces of paper, whether it's awards, fitness reports, peer evaluations. All those things are just pieces of paper, but who you are and your work ethic, that's inside of you, and you don't let those pieces of paper dictate the quality of the work that you put out. You just put out a high standard each time. First, to become a pilot. At about 5 years old, I attended probably my first air show that I remember. I saw the Blue Angels. I said, wow, as a 5-year-old, I thought that was the only thing there was to do. As I grew up, my dad came home from long deployments on aircraft carriers. The jet flyovers kept on inspiring me to go that way. This one's easy. The Marines had a guaranteed flight program during college, which is not every service doesn't have that, but the Marines did. So it was kind of easy to go that way. And there's the typical answer. They have the best looking uniforms. They have that discipline and drive that a young person seeks out, and it's very obvious and apparent when you talk to Marines as a young person that they're a little different than other services. Being young and interested in a career of service was what pulled me to it was action. I mean, you open up a book about the Marine Corps or even the Navy SEALs or Navy pilots, and there's action in it. So I didn't want to sit behind a desk, even though here I am 24 years later here. But as a young person, you have a certain amount of time to do those things that your body, your mind will tell your body to do, and your body will do it. Regarding time management and self-discipline. Okay, self-discipline, you definitely have to have it, but just because you are doing it doesn't mean you're getting to your goals. And the same thing with time management. You have to connect your life goals, your different phases of life goals to that time management. So if you can break down the goals into some, attainable objectives, bite-sized chunks, into weekly goals, and then set your time management from there, and then have the discipline to follow what you put down on paper. That's probably one of the things that you actually learn when you go to your first, whether it's officer candidate school, whether it's a PLC program. You have a regimented life for the 6, 10, 12 weeks that you're there. To be effective leaders and the qualities that they should develop. It's easy to get caught up in what you see as what you might think is good leadership. If you're seeing a lot of loud voices, but to cut to the chase on the question, it's understanding your personnel, your people. So there's the mission, but you got to understand how to get your people to what motivates your people to get to the mission that you need to accomplish. Knowing how to operate in a setting, whether it's 1-to-1 or 1-to-20, whether you need to inspire somebody or you have to deliver bad news. So I guess that's one of those things, and then up there on that quality is integrity. So we're pretty much equal. Unfortunately, may not. In my past, what I've seen, the one thing that really affects me is toxic leadership. I want to make sure that I'm not providing or developing a climate of a toxic environment through my leadership. So I know that's not all positive, that toxic leadership. You have to, on a daily basis, make sure that the decisions you're making aren't perceived by others as selfish.
What would you have wanted to know when you were first starting your career, but didn't?
The most important thing is family, always. So I didn't know that when I first started my career. I thought career was the only thing. So as I'm 10, 15 years into it, definitely 20, 25 years, it's work-life balance. So you don't know that when you're young, because all you have is energy to burn. And you want to do the best for the mission, to keep making rank and to do that. But the thing you're going to miss out on is if you neglect your family, is time that you should have spent with them, whether it's weddings, whether it's birth of children, whether it's parents. So your family will always stay with you. So that's one thing you got to make a priority in line with work as a priority. Starting early as possible helps, but it's not critical. People don't make up their mind until their senior year, until they're already in a first job in the corporate world as an insurance agent or as a banker. And then they see a V-22 flying over the highways, like, I want to do that. Or they see an F-18 landing on the runways over I-15, I want to do that. So it's not critical early, but it helps. One thing you want to do is learn as much as you can about what the service that you want to go into and what the job you want by talking to people that are already doing it. You got to learn as much as you can about it so that when you either get to that point, you are not surprised with what's happening, but more so you're like, oh yeah, I remember this is what so-and-so talked about. Besides talking to people that are in the field already, is reading. You learn so much from history and mistakes that have been, you're doomed to repeat those mistakes if you don't learn from the history. So even though the technology may change, the military stories remain the same, and then most of it is actually about people to people, kneecap engagement and leadership. My father was probably the most inspiring to me when I was younger in my career choice, because he could do it, I could do it. Maybe not, but I didn't know that back then. But then when I got to the fleet, my first squadron, my peers were the most inspiring to me, because we were all, as a group of young lieutenants, in our early 20s, learning how to fly a helicopter in East Asia, Korea, Philippines, Thailand, just some incredible scenery, some incredible experiences flying with the goggles, but we always came back as a peer group back to the ready room and talked about our experiences, and then we had fun in different countries. So my peers inspired me to keep going and this far.
As a person in a high responsibility position, what do you feel that junior Marines look at most when determining what they think of a leader?
Setting the example, and I talked about unselfishness. When you're setting the example, is it a do as I say kind of environment, or is it a do as I do environment? And, they'll see through a leader who is not doing or not following the own principles that he's espousing on others.
What was the hardest part of flight school for you?
That's a good question. It doesn't happen to everybody. Aeronautical adaptability. It's when you get in the cockpit and you're learning how to fly. You've never done it before, and somebody's yelling at you to do this. You got like 50 different things going on. Get sick to your stomach. You're dizzy. You're throwing up. The guy in the back, the instructor's yelling at you. So it's aeronautical adaptability is the hardest thing about flight school. But once you get over that, after 3 or 4 flights, you can start concentrating better and focusing. Some people don't. So I definitely recommend trying to get I think they do it now in most military aviation programs, is they get you a civilian or they get you flight time before you go to flight school, so that it's something. Because riding a roller coaster isn't the same thing. You can get in an airliner and everything's nice, and even if you do get sick, you have a bag there, you can take whatever medication. But once you start aviating, navigating, and communicating, those 3 things, and each thing has 10 associated things going on with it, you've got to be, the speed that you're moving at in trying to determine situation awareness, who's talking to you and what do you got to tell them, where are you flying. So everything that goes into learning how to fly without getting sick.
What was it about helicopters that made you choose to fly them?
First was that aeronautical adaptability, which the grades I didn't have initially to fly. I wanted to fly F4s, A4 Skyhawks, Harriers, but as I realized where I was in the flight program compared to people who had already flown, helicopters was more my speed. So that was one thing. The second thing is that when you look at the helicopter and what it does for the Marines, you're always supporting the infantrymen as close as, pretty much as close as you can get. You're loading them in the back, you're bringing them up to the front lines where they need to either take action, take a hill, or defend a position, and then you're flying back, getting more, doing resupply. So just the helicopter for me had many missions that I would want to do and support the runs.
Do you have one piece of advice that you would give to a high school senior who wants to become a career pilot, a Marine Corps pilot and officer?
Don't let anything stop you from pursuing your goal. Whether it is eye issue, becoming a pilot, just keep on trying to get to where you want to be. You've got to make the decisions that get you there, and then you've got to follow through on those decisions. Application processes, sometimes they seem tedious, but go through it and do it. And then learn about the craft, learn about the aircraft you want to fly, learn about what pilots do and at different stages of their career. I'm giving you one perspective after 22 years. So, you talk to somebody on the flight line who's been in 5, 6 years, who's still aggressive and pulling G's. It's probably a lot more inspiring in what I'm talking to you about as far as leadership and officership go. I really appreciate you coming to take the time and learning about Marine Corps.
Thank you very much.
No problem.